anti-death metal band Autopsy had a comic book drawn by the same guy who did the Dying Fetus comic. This one is a bigger gore-fest. It's a ghost story that plays out like a 90s slasher movie. Dying Fetus were only on one page during their comic, but there seems to be no sign of Autopsy anywhere in this book. However, the spirit is there, and the severed survival surgeons are the villains. And then, of course, you also have the occasional Autopsy song titles being part of the dialogue. This comic is the movie, and an Autopsy album is its soundtrack.
In the first couple of pages, Johnny is having some dialogue about his uncle. "I've always hated my uncle. He should have died in the womb. End of story."
Wow, this guy sounds like Frank Miller on crack.
Worth dying for. Worth killing for. Worth going to hell for. Amen.
Johnny has to entertain his Uncle Barry, which prevents him from scoring a touchdown with his girlfriend Heather. Barry shows off his Ouija board, radio, and magic book he obtained that'll make you see ghosts somehow. Barry leaves with Johnny's father and whoa, nicely drawn boobies on Blondie.
Anyway, the morning after, the
friends all meet up to plan their night. They plan on cranking abscess and going to this haunted house in a cornfield. Allegedly, this house was where a bunch of people got lobotomies, and the group desired some dangerous fun. They pull out the Ouija board, radio, and book, and then listen for voices. As the saying goes, if you play with matches, you will get burned. A voice tells the Scooby Gang that they're all going to be a fun little experiment in the game of Slaughterama. These surgeons appeared and dragged 3 of the friends into the cornfield. The remaining friends go look for them and are led to the house.
When they go in, a Dr. Obnoxious cult is having humanary stew. A feast for a funeral, if you will. The funeral being a mental one.
The trio run through the house to look for an exit, but in the process, they optically envisioned a bunch of gaffed, skewered, and autopsied people. On one page, you have clowns being the surgeons.
Isn't that the scariest thing imaginable? I mean, if you hated clowns already, just look at that.
Johnny jumped through a window and escaped with Charlie and Nicole. To save Heather, Bill, and Kim, Nicole's solution was to use white magic. It turned out that Nicole was molested by her stepdad, so she explored witchcraft to get back at him and learned a lot from the experience. Her sister had a database full of spells, so she used it to discover that they needed a talisman to channel the retribution for the dead. Basically, the ghosts were occultists who recruited doctors that had been scorned by their colleagues. If they ate the souls of their patients, they would transcend mortality.
That's a really cute backstory. But what did they need to neutralize the ghosts? 7 skulls!
They would need 7 skulls of the murdered to use as a talisman to neutralize the ghosts. Nicole started the spell, and it worked well enough that the remaining friends were getting up to leave. But Charlie dropped one of the skulls and the enchantment broke. Instead of trying again, they escaped and left Bill to die by Alice Cooper's Black Widow. Later on, the police are questioning Johnny and Heather. The cop tells them that Nicole was found cut up into regurgitated giblets outside her house, and that the Ouija board, radio, and book were found over at Charlie's house. The cop is thinking that maybe Charlie and Kim set up the whole trip to make off with the drugs that belonged to Johnny.
I mean, why pay someone when you could just whack them?
In the final pages, Charlie and Nicole are in the kitchen with their book and board, and then the doctors appear to rip them up.
Weird how for a comic titled Autopsy, the closest thing to Autopsy that appears in the book is Abscess playing on the radio. It would have been cool if Chris or Eric were the dealers of the magic items, just to give them a short little appearance. I'll tell you what though, this was more fun to read than the Dying Fetus comic. It was gorier, it was funnier, and it had more plot and substance. With the art style and the horror movie imagery, this is a joyful B-list comic. The experience can be enhanced with acts of the unspeakable, so go feast on Feast for a Funeral!